Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my round 9 team review in what was a pretty good round. Round rank of 561 isn't the greatest, but still included a rank rise for me, and round points of 1555. So I'm now up to a rank of 436, ahead of what I was last week at 492, and the week before that we were at 717. And even the week before that, 930. So we've gone on a good run of 3 or 4 weeks straight of rank rises. And yeah, just pretty happy about that after what was a sort of shocking start, I guess, in the end. I was never able to make up the ground, which is sort of telling. But yeah, pretty happy about the decision there. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, especially because we've got 2 other big videos coming out today as well, including the trade targets and also the tips for round 10, including the tips, going through tips for round 9. So yeah, let's get into this video. So as you can see here, Thomas 83, she did really well against, who did she play in the end? Let's go here. She did really well against Western Bulldogs, 83 points on 20 touches, 6 and 1. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. So yeah, you can see here 15, 5, 6, 1. Yeah, she just did really well. Carney 64 did really well in a bad situation for her against the Crows. Didn't seem like many of the defense was getting much of the ball. It seemed like it was in the midfield quite a lot, and that's why you saw Marinoff, Hatchard, Riddell, Garner, Bruton, King all I think ton up, or I think Hatchard got 99, but there was about out of the 6 players there was probably 700 points or so out of the 2200 points overall for the whole team, for both teams scored in that midfield pack of 6, which is just a crazy thought, to be honest with you. The amount of points that were scored between those 6 girls, and then there was a massive drop off, especially on the North Melbourne side, from the likes of, I think it was King or Bruton at 100, and then Carney was the next best at 64, but Carney at 64 was still pretty good. As we watched, the defenders this round actually didn't have the best of rounds. Lynch, no one was going to pick up. Sheeran, a lot of people got rid of. Kennedy, no one was going to pick up. Thomas 83, Stan at 77, Head 77. Grider was someone that maybe you would have picked up. McAvoy, I don't think so. Biddell, don't think so. Smith, some people would have had, I believe, if we look here, 2.6% owned, so not much. Walker, 68, 5% owned, or 4.59% owned, but that 68 to 64 gap isn't that much. So Carney didn't really, to a lot of players, didn't impact it too much. Her having a bad game because she is over 50% owned. Yeah, 52% owned. And just looking here, if I just look at the stats here for that North Melbourne game, you'll see Garner 134, Marinoff 133, Riddell 127, Bruton 102, King 100, Hatchard 99, Kelly 98, and then a 29-point gap to Biddell at 69. So even if you just take the 7 girls there, that's what... let me just quickly do the maths here while we run through, I guess, Stannett's total, which was a 77 against, who do they play in the end? Stannett played against Melbourne for a 77. That's a pretty good 77, given Melbourne seem like they're running away with the comp at the moment. So that was a pretty good set of, I guess, output from her. And yeah, just looking at the 7 best people on ground out of the 40, what do they have, 41 players or something? 42 players, because they have 16 and then 5 on the bench. Out of the 42 best players, 793 came between the best 7 scorers, which is ridiculous. That's divided by, say, 2,300. That's around 34% of the total on just, what is that, like 34% of the total outlay of the whole game, fancy points-wise, was scored by about 16%, so they were scoring about double what their weight should have been, which sort of makes sense, but also just shows that there was a big gulping like class difference between the top end and the middle and bottom end. Then we go to Head 77 against Collingwood, which is really good, and it sucks because I have to get rid of her. And this is the problem I had, is that basically if I didn't make that Priest mistake, Head would still be here, and I'd still be able to get to who I'm getting to. I actually forgot who I've traded in, to be honest with you. Actually look at the midfielder just to see if it shows who I've traded in. Oh yes, Swanson. So yeah, you can see that who I've traded in for Ham, but that would have been, it potentially would have still been heads going down out to some other person and getting like a Blackburn or a Bowers, but it potentially would have been maybe Tiny Evans going down to like a Bedell or something like that and getting up to a Bowers, because Bowers is going to go nuts, but I just couldn't get her up to the prize point needed without taking a severe hit on the defensive side. And that was just a culmination of just mistakes, and that's sort of what you get at this point. Just mistakes with McCarthy, McDonald not utilising. I missed out on 120k there. Borg didn't play because I thought Edmund came back, so that's 36k wasted. And then Millie Brown, I think, is it Millie Brown? Millie Brown got up to about 340k, and that was wasted as well. So in the end, probably left somewhere close to 200k just out there as well as the Priest mistake. So that's basically getting the I would say getting that forward line's the best. Getting the better ruckman as well as the better M5 without having to sacrifice heads is probably what I missed out on. But anyway, that is the AFLW season, I guess, in a whole, and that's why I guess that's fancy in a whole, and that's why I missed out on that. But anyway, we move on to Tiny Evans against Port this week. Played Suns for a 49, wasn't the greatest, but still think she's done all right this year. Average of 66 is pretty good as a defender, as we see here if we just switch it back. And then we go to average for defenders, 74, 73, 71, and then you get into the 60s, and you can sort of see that I knew Eamonson was going to be a decent defender when I shouted her out, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, and she's had one bad game, and I think some people might jump off of her, but I still think she's fine. Sheeran the same. O'Driscoll, I'm actually surprised is doing that well, but it seems like she just hopped on the back of that 109 and did really well outside of that, so she's probably about a 62, 63 on form type of player. And Priest is, if she had that midfield role, is better, but when she's in defense, she's like a 30, 40 type player. Anyway, then we move on to the midfield. Marinoff doubled 133 to a 266. Just missed out on the beating Gardner to the post. I think she had her until a tackle got taken back or a kick got taken back. I believe she was either 272 or 274 with the double before they took something back post-game. Anyway, a 133 captain, you're always going to take that, and probably going to be my captain this week. Given that she's got the West Coast matchup, I just need to quickly, and I'll do this for the Friday actually, but I want to just check now and just see which teams. It's probably going to be a Garner or Riddell into a Marinoff, because Marinoff plays there, and that's sandwiched in between the Geelong game, but that plays on a Saturday, so that's an awkward timing, I guess, for me, that I might need to somehow be able to just, I should be able to do it, to be honest with you. We'll just get that done and get that loop in place. So that's all right, I think. So that should be fine. So Marinoff, Garner, Riddell, these three seems like the best three midfielders at the moment. You got Blackburn, who's going nuts as well at the moment. 116 last three, because she's gone 133 as well as a 122. But that 93 against Adelaide, and she's got North Melbourne, so she should struggle this week. Bowers did a 127, but obviously like the week before 83 and round 4 she had a 78, so not the best. L3, Whitford, which we traded out, which was a dumb decision. Should have just traded out Prasparkas. As that would have helped us with what did Prasparkas do? She went up 10k, Whitford went up, I believe, 11 or something, 35k, so would have got us another 25k, or at least generated a little bit more. Well, actually, it wouldn't have been realised, that generation, cash gen, but anyway, should have taken her, as it would have been 20 points better, and she's got now Essendon as the, and she is now the number one midfielder at Gold Coast, so she's going to go huge now, and I've traded her out right before that, which sort of sucks. I should have just stuck to my guns, I guess. and gotten rid of and gotten Frederick the other way and waited for a little bit and fixed up my defender now, because that would have been the better play, and I probably would have ended up top 200 because of that. But anyway, you take risks and some of them don't come off. Chris Barker's 93, plays Hawthorn. Hopefully she can do something. She hasn't done anything pretty much this whole a long time. She hasn't done anything. You can just see just 90 scores the last month. A 68, 100, 108, 89, and a 147. So yeah, it hasn't done much. Ham did nothing, as we talked about in that review yesterday. Strom 57 didn't really do anything against Melbourne. Has Sydney though, where she should dominate. We've seen the Rucks absolutely dominate against Sydney, and Mimi Strong should be able to get a 30 hit out game against the Swans, which should correlate to her getting an 80 or 90. But yeah, hopefully that can happen. Gardner 112, plays Fremantle this week. Happy with that. And Fremantle, I don't see them really doing anything to stop her, to be honest with you. As you got to stop one of Malloy and Gardner, and Malloy seems to have been played back into form when they've tried to stop Gardner a little bit. And yeah, so I'm really happy about this, and hopefully the Swans can get a win to get finals place. Goldsworthy 91. Had to put the VC on her just because she was the only one that I could actually VC, and the 91 just didn't work, and that sucks, but that's how it happens. And then Frederick 103, knew this was going to happen. I pegged her in for I think 110 plus, but yeah, she slowed down I think in the last quarter from memory. But yeah, did really well in the first and third, kicking a goal each in those quarters to get up to a 103. But that was a really good effort from her. And against Richmond, she should do well. I know that they have. I'm pretty sure they have Seymour still there, but she should be able to put up a big score there and be that top 5 forward. Malloy 79 didn't really get going against Collingwood. Still kicked 3 goals, but didn't get the disposals or the marks to really kick it into gear, which she did against the Western Bulldogs. But hopefully she can do that on Sunday against Fremantle and put up a decent score. And then Roberts was put in, I saw in the team sheet, was put into the midfield, which seems like it did occur, and she had 27, 5 and 5, which is just a huge effort. And yeah, when she's put in the forward line, there's about a 30-point differential, I think, between forward line and on ball. As you can sort of see here, I'm pretty sure she was named on ball in round 1, named on ball these weeks, not on ball this week, and on ball in round 9, and that's why she was split so heavily. And then we got Izzy Huntington put up a 47 to gain some cash here. You just look here, gained 53k, which is absolutely huge for cash generation needs. Would have loved to have her gotten into like the 450k range, as it would have helped me potentially keep heads, which would have been huge. But yeah, she needed another like 100k or so to do that, which would have been pretty good, but obviously didn't do that. I could still keep heads and get to Grant that way, but it would mean that I'd lose 100k, so I'd have to go to a 1.03, which would be Hurley, which could actually work, I guess, if I was to do that. So I might actually ponder that in the next, before that team preview, those sets of trades, and put it out to the people on Twitter. So you might see a sneak peek on Twitter, but that's about it. Anyway, that pretty much sums up the whole round 9 recap. I'm probably, unlike I did in the men's, which is really weird, going to do a round 10 recap. I didn't do a round 26 recap in the men's. I'm probably going to have to actually go back and do it next week, because the servers shut down, as well as taking screenshots of players, etc., and their movement across the weeks, just to get my spreadsheet out, etc. But I might not do a spreadsheet this year for that, and just start that next year, because I think it will be easier. But anyway, that pretty much is the video, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.